Hi there, Jim's franchisees. This is Jeff Fleming, and welcome to the Launch My FSE Business. This came from a workshop recently done with Greg Mitchell, and so for those that were at the workshop at the time, this will be, I think, a good refresher. For those that haven't been to the first workshop, this will be an opportunity to get some of the information about it. Now, whilst it's going to move quite quickly, and there's probably some things that you don't quite get because of ripping through them quite quickly, this might be a good start. This workshop is really all about being much more than just mowing lawns. It's about building the franchise business and making a really successful one. So let's keep moving through this session. And for the franchisees, we talked about launching the business. Often, there's many that have been in business for quite some time. So it's not about we're launching from new, although there are some that have had our franchise for less than 12 months. It's all about taking everything you've done and just doing it in a very structured way that helps you get a better result than what you're currently getting. So for this particular session, what I'm saying is that the mind is like a parachute. If you've heard that expression before, it operates optimally when open. So if you've tried some of these things in the past and come to the conclusion that they don't work, maybe some more persistence, maybe looking at these things in a different way would have been useful. So let's look at some of those tonight. There's an expression that says something like, when you think of something is as good as it'll ever get, you stop looking for better. So tonight, or as part of reviewing this session, let's look at doing something a little bit better than maybe what you've tried it in the past. How you get the most out of the workshop if you've been to, but how you get the most out of this session is to do a couple of things. One, you can run this in your own time, so take notes, take lots of notes. Number two is if you have questions, my email address, Jeff, Geoff, and I'll give you this at the end as well, Geoff at business-transform.com.au. Let me know what questions you've had. And from our recent workshops, we had lots of people that have emailed in questions. So let us know how we can help. As you take notes, compare notes with your other franchisees, those that you work with or those that you closely associate with, to how they're doing things. Most importantly, number 4 is take action. Just do something. Just try something a bit different. The most frustrating thing for anyone in business and in life and in anything in the world is lots of talk and no action. So just take some action. Be greedy about it. Take everything that you can from this. Email me, ask me how I can help. These things are being offered to you. If we can help with anything at all, please let us know. But be greedy about the way you treat this session, how you get the information, but most importantly on how you use it. My role as part of this is to help, but you need to stretch. If you stay where you are, if you ever watch football and you notice when someone kicks you the ball and you're standing there flat-footed waiting for the ball, someone can run in and grab it. So your role is to step forward and grab the ball, okay, and use the information. My role is to help, but you also have to stretch. So nothing will change unless you think differently and take lots of action. This is all about possibility thinking. You think about it from a mowing perspective. There's a lot more to business than mowing. And having worked with lots of Jim's franchisors and spoken to many franchisees and spoken to other franchisees and not so much franchisors. I don't know too many other certainly franchises we've worked with that have lots of well-trained and supportive franchisors. But it's about getting a much better result in life. It's not just about mowing. So everything tonight is about how can we take this and how can we simply get a better result. So take the ideas and tools we talk about tonight, okay, and work with them to help you and your family and whoever it is you want to support to get a better result. Okay. So number 1, let's look at some aspects, of running a mowing business or running any other franchise business, okay, over and above just what it is you do during the day. So if it's mowing or if it's test and tag or whatever it is, okay. Okay, the 6 steps to running a great franchise business, and it's much more than just doing what you do during the day, mowing lawns. It's a lot more to that. So they are, as you can see, it's all about thinking about and how we think about it. Thinking about my business, thinking about how I'm managing my time during the week. And in this session, we'll talk about structure. How I manage my own finances, how I manage my debts. Now, when I talk about debts, I'm not talking about my personal debts. I'm more talking about my customers, my customer debts and how I'm managing them. And more importantly, if I'm getting outstanding debts, why is that happening and how I can rectify it so I can improve my cash flow situation. My marketing, okay? And the last one is my customers. Now, in our second and third session, which we'll be running and also recording, we'll talk a lot more about marketing and managing our customers, but let's touch on them during this particular recording. Number 2, it's how I manage my time, how I manage my week. Structure in business, and I've been in coaching and training and developing for around about 13 years in just a whole range of businesses, and I can tell you categorically that structure equals growth. The more structure, the more predictable, the more clarity you have, the more your franchise business will grow. So do you ever feel like, you're at the beck and call of your business and your customers, and it's almost like you're waiting for the phone to ring? Now's the time to start to really turn that around. So it's how I spend my Monday, for example, in marketing. What I do in terms of managing my customers, perhaps in the early evening. Again, we'll talk more about these when we get into the marketing and the customer service workshops. But it's how I manage these things, and is the way I manage my week at the moment, is that helping me to get the results? This isn't the Jeff asking you, this is the you asking you. Are you happy with the way your week's structured at the moment? And is the way your business, the way you're running at the moment, getting you the results you want? Okay? So what's never changed in small business is that good structure always equals growth. So how I structure my week. Number 3, how I structure my finances and how you manage your finances. Again, we're going to touch on a little bit of that during the course of this particular session, but also talk obviously from a marketing and a customer service perspective, how we can boost our cash flow and fundamentally how we can build the future of our business as well. All right. So this is all about, if I look at my week, and again, this is the you asking you, if I spent half an hour this week or less on marketing my business and 5 hours on managing my finances, am I okay with that? If managing my finances is about managing my business right now and marketing is about building my future, am I okay with the balance around that? If you had some better and simpler ways of marketing that you could do every week, what difference would it make? What difference would it make in winter, for example? What difference would it make in 2 or 3 years' time when maybe you started to build your business and you had the opportunity to split off part of your business and on-sell it via your franchisor? What aspect it would make. So how am I managing my finances now, and how I manage things like, am I doing my own BAS statements? It's all those things that say, if I'm managing them now, could I manage them better and differently? Could I outsource them, and could I spend more money on marketing, customer service, and building my future? Do I have customers that look and smell like this? Those customers, the ones that say, yep, I will definitely pick up the dog poo, no problems. And by the way, the checks in the mail, or the ones that say, can I get a discount for this? Or can you just do this little bit, but I won't actually pay you anymore? Have you had those conversations? So, the question is, and again, this is the question you ask yourself, if you have some of those customers, are you happy with them? If you had the choice, what would you do with them? And what's it going to take to get other customers that pay well? The ones that say the check's in the post, or it's in the mail, or I'll email it tonight and you check tomorrow and it's just not there. Have you ever done that? Okay. So around, again, the future workshops will run, is it's not so much about, improving customers and working on improving customers. It's how we set up customers when we start a brand new customer that has them understanding that this is the way we manage the business, and it's all about you setting that up front. Managing and marketing. And again, this isn't about being a marketing guru, but this is more about some simple ways to have you just stand out a little bit from all the rest out there that are doing what I would call just business as usual. So this might be, we'll talk about in marketing, things like, cord flute signs and mailers, but it's also, how do we currently get referrals? What's the way of getting referrals, given that our really good customers know other people that have lawns, that have need for gutter cleaning, have a need for rubbish removal, have need for all these things? What are the very simple ways that are easy for us to reach out and keep building our businesses? And when you think about referrals, we'll talk about that in marketing. The best part about referrals is they are free. And if you've ever had a referral, you know what good customers they can be. So it's all about just standing out 5 to 10% and what difference that would make and how cheap it can be to do it. Number 6 is all about managing customers and building loyalty. Again, we'll cover that off in our last session, but what am I doing? Those times when you're really busy and, maybe you've got leads coming in through the gym system, or you've got, opportunities with new customers, and you just, virtually, have you ever done that before, going from customer to customer? What could I do with these customers and maybe spend 5 more minutes, or maybe spend 1 minute on the phone that actually had them as a customer okay, for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but also help me over time to be able to build off that customer and getting more customers. So the key in managing customers is that you are recruiting your own sales team, and you have your sales team every day out helping you to be able to grow your business. But what you have to do is you have to train your sales team. Simple and easy to do, but if you have more than you looking for leads and looking for opportunities, then it just makes it easy. And you know what? It's so cheap and it's simple to do. All right, let's keep moving now. Again, I'm not going to stop at slides like this during the workshop. This is an opportunity for you to sit down and take notes. You can stop this anytime and take some notes about things, not what I'm saying, but what's relevant to you. So I want to keep this moving now, and I want to look at what I call the 5 hot principles around getting your business launching, whether you've been a franchisee for 6 months or 6 years or 10 years, and really getting it to the point. And I know for a fact, for the people who've had in our workshops, that these are franchisees that really, really want to get a better result. They're looking for tools, they're looking for how-tos. So we're going to talk about some of those in this particular session. So number 1, it's your business. It's all about, being the expert in the 6 steps we talk about: managing customers, managing finances, managing debt, managing your business, managing your time. So if you look at there's a book by a guy called Greg Nathan called Profitable Partnerships, and he talks about that curve, if you've read the book, about, you're paying fees and perhaps not getting much out of it. So when you start to realize that you can drive it, you can drive your time, you can drive your marketing, you can drive your customers, you are actually completely in control. There's things that have to happen around paying franchise fees, around paying bills, around managing equipment. Around all that, what you can do is you can create a marketing system and a customer service system that will so easily support your business that everything else around paying fees and everything else will become such a great idea because you're part of a community of other franchisees that are doing exactly the same. Does that make sense? So if you look at, what Greg Nathan talks about, it talks about not so much you, but it talks about you being a team of we, and that's, your franchisor working with other franchisees, those that are wanting to do the same thing as you, but you can do it easy and do it that way, or you can do it hard. That means I'm going to do it my own way, and I'm going to battle through. I recommend the easy way, and these workshops are all about that, okay? So if you drive your business and your marketing and your customer service consistently, and these things take, a couple of hours a week, they don't take long, okay? But if you're doing it consistently, you'll become completely self-reliant. You'll be able to drive cash flow, okay? But most importantly, you'll be having a great time. You'll be enjoying the business. If you're the one that's driving, getting better results, okay, it just becomes more fun for you and your customers, and everyone else will know. Number 2 is how you map out your week. When you think about managing the business, the finances, your customer debts, your marketing, also customer service, it sounds like a lot to do. So the way to do that, and we'll talk about some how-tos at the end, is to map out your week. And I highly recommend that you have this in a visual so you can see it quite regularly. It's so much easier if we have some structure, apart from, sitting down and thinking, okay, I need to race off and do this. Have you ever done that? I need to race off and do this, and I need to race off and do this, and I need to race off. And you can get through, and I have done this a whole week, and we can look back to the week and go, you know what? That was not a very successful week. I just don't feel like I've been busy, but I don't feel like I've been productive. Getting some structure about your week is a way of getting past that, all right? Because then at least you've got a structure, okay, and your franchisor, okay, that can help you be accountable to your own structure. So when you reach the point about having a structure, you'll feel like you are completely in control. Number 3, okay, getting ahead of the game is knowing when to say no. When to say no. So if you have things in your life that you find that you procrastinate around, or you do things like, I'd call it fiddling with stuff, ultimately, that's not getting you anywhere. It's almost like filling a gap, okay? The key is to know when to say yes and no. And I'd recommend, I've had lots of people that actually printed off this little slide. If you want a copy of it, let me know, and put it up on your wall. And so when you look at something that you think at the back of your mind, you know what, this is a waste of my time, or you ask yourself the question, this is you asking the question, is this the best use of my time? You can reach out and go, red, no. And then get back into the marketing, get back into the customer service, get back into the simple things we'll talk about in this and the follow-up sessions that'll help you ultimately to build your future, okay? So print those off if you want a copy. I'm very happy to send you that slide. This is about turning up the relationship dial. And again, in the third session of the sessions we run, it's really about building customers. But you know, it's more about, you think about some of the awesome customers, and we all have awesome customers, and we have some that, you know, perhaps aspire to be awesome with our help and our, you know, the way we educate our customers. But with our A customers, you know, what else is there we could be offering them? How could we do that? If you ask yourself the question, do I have A customers at the moment that have services they require that I could easily provide? All I've got to do is just connect with them. So how could we best do that? There's two things that build your future in your franchise business. Two things. Okay, number one is sales, and number two is customer service. They build your future. Everything else around that, whilst it might be important to do, it is administration. It doesn't make money. Those two are the ones that if you spend quality time, not all of your time, but quality time on, okay, what you'll find is that you will build your future. Last is building your marketing machine, and this is a Detroit V12. So in the marketing session, we're going to spend some time actually building the marketing machine. So if you've been to the session, you can watch the recording, and if you haven't been, that will help you around some of those things that will give you an idea. It's going to be helpful, obviously, to be more in one of the sessions, but it'll give you some ideas. So the purpose of building a marketing machine that works consistently, and you think about how many customers you got, how good would it be to have many of them? You won't have all of them, but many of them, okay, as your sales team out working for you. So I want you to build a marketing machine that supports you all year round while you're ensuring your A customers are well looked after, okay, and you've got sufficient time to be able to do it, that you're building relationships, you're doing all those simple, easy, non-time consuming things, again, that help to build your future. Okay, so maybe at this particular point, just take a 1 minute, turn the recording off, and just write down, if you look at these slides here now, look at these, what's been relevant, easy or hard. Easy is working with your franchisor, building your business, working with your other team members, and trying some things and comparing notes. That's the easy way. The hard way is to do it all yourself or presume that the way I'm doing it is the only way to do it. Number two is the way you structure, the way you map out your week, the way you design it. And I just get a little Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday up on the wall and draw off some little areas around marketing, around customer service, and around some of those things, some of those areas. And that way you've got a visual. Visuals are good. It's like looking at figures. The more you look at your figures, the more you'll know how well you're tracking. So have that up on your wall. Number three, the two success words. If you want to copy this slide, let me know. Okay, know when to say yes and know when to say no. Know when to reach out and hit the big red button and go, no, that is definitely a waste of my time. I need to be doing this. Number four is about building relationships. What are the services I can offer to my current customers, and working out, again, we'll talk about those in the marketing and the customer service modules about how you can reach out to them. And number five is building your marketing machine. Have it working for you consistently. So take a minute, I'd say switch off and just make some notes about what's been relevant for you. We're back. Let's get under the hood now and let's have a look at a couple of things, okay, around some of these areas. And again, this is going to be easier for you to do if you're in the workshop and brainstorm them, okay? And we've talked about a couple of these, but let's look at number one. Organize your week. If you think about your week at the moment, again, this is the question you ask yourself. If 10 is my week, this is your own assessment. If 10 is my week, I am seriously all over it. I am well organized, I'm structured. I can look back my weeks and think, you know what? I'm on the game in terms of what I need to do, where my business is going. I'm really happy with it. 0 says, wow, out of control. How would you assess it? If you said, for example, it's 5 to 6, what might going to 7 be for you? You know, what might be going to 7 for you is simply mapping out your week and having it on your wall, and or mapping it out, calling your franchisor, emailing it to them or catching them for coffee and say, what do you think? What do you think? What else could I do in here? That's something you could do. What else you could do around your weekly structure is get your yes and no on the wall so you know to reach out when you have to say yes and when you say no. Okay. What are the things that you don't do well? In other words, the things that you think about you don't do, and therefore you procrastinate around and assume that, yeah, what I should be doing right now is doing some maintenance, okay, because I'm not good at marketing or something. Well, again, if you come to those conclusions, again, this is you coming to those conclusions, not me, then you can assess how much is that going to impact my future, what impacts are going to have on my business next winter, for example, if ever you had one of those leaner ones. and how can I manage that differently now, okay? So if you map out your week and put it up on the wall, what you're then able to do is have a tool as well as working with your franchisor. Okay, it's called accountability. Okay, accountability is a wonderful thing because it's going to help to keep you on track. And having someone like your franchisor keeping you accountable, you know what? They're in the same game as you. It doesn't get any better than that. Okay. Managing your finances. How do you currently managing finances? Is there anyone, listening in, okay, that's just not good at that? And maybe what you're doing is you're sort of half managing, doing things like BAS statements and half managing them, or maybe you're doing it manually, maybe you're spending your nights doing it. First question you ask is this the best use of my time? And obviously, like some franchisees, some of us are really good at it, all right? Some are really good. Some, if it was like me, I'm terrible at it. I have a lady on our team, Wendy, who manages all that stuff. You know what? She's a management accountant. Not only does she love doing it, but she does it incredibly well. So what I'm saying is not about going to get a management accountant. It's about saying, if this is something that takes me 5 hours a week, what benefit would be to have someone that could do it for me, for example, in maybe 2 hours a week? And if I had 2 hours a week available after hours, what else could I do that could help to build my future? Does that make sense? So if you're good at it, then maybe you can get it done quickly. But I think like most, maybe you're thinking, well, I'm just going to keep on doing this now because it's easier for me to do it than have someone else do it. The question I'd ask is that what else could you do with the time you're spending? Either spending time with your family or planning or marketing or doing something that's going to help to build your future. Maybe it's, you're moving to something like Xero or something like that, moving to another package that's online that enables you to manage it better. Maybe that's the first step, but then maybe finding someone else over time that can do it for you. Okay. This is what you call getting really scientific, putting your goggles on and getting really scientific about how we manage things like, you think about those customers. If you think about customers that, if you had the opportunity today, there's, 2 or 3 or 4 customers that you probably not work with, or there's 2 or 3 other customers that, they're okay to work with, but they keep saying they're going to pay and they just don't quite do it. Or there's customers out there that that you could do more with, okay, but you're not quite doing it. Or there's awesome customers out there that you're pretty sure have other friends and associates and brothers and sisters and, there are other suppliers that have lawns, that have needs that you could help with. How can we manage those? What I recommend you do is I recommend you just take a time out and or check in with the franchisor or check in with other franchisees and just make a list of those things, around our unattractive, let's call them the unattractive customers. What would I need to do to make them attractive? If I can't make them attractive, if I can't get rid of the smell, it's not so much getting rid of them, it's what's it costing you having them. They're the ones you think about on the weekend, I wish they'd pay their bills, all right? Or I wish they'd do that. How can you rectify that situation? Okay, your franchisor will tell you really clearly, move them on and they'll give me a hand to do it. Number 2 is if I have customers that are okay, they're not paying well, talk to your franchisor. How can I educate them to pay quicker and explain to them this is how my business works? And in future, what can I learn from that in terms of bringing on new customers? What can I do with good customers now to make them great by helping them to help me by providing more service to them? And for our great customers, what can I do now to help them to provide referrals to me? And sometimes with your A customers, that's how you got to them in the first place. So they understand the referral process. They've seen it in action. So what you're going to do is help them, okay, to help you by passing the baton on from whoever it was that passed them to you to pass it on to someone else. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's look at a couple of ways again around just getting your week a little bit better organized. Just, using some tools here now to help you get more structure and just doing what you do better. Number 1 is always about environment. If you sit at a desk like me that's got a PC and a phone and everything else, my recommendation is turn them off. Or do what I do now. If I'm getting into the office, and sometimes I get into the office in the morning, I'm not here all day, but if I'm here in the morning, or you've got a home office, I'll go down the road and have a coffee, okay? And for that time I'm down there, I like a bit of noise in the background. That's me. I like a bit of distraction. I can't work in silence. So I'll go down the road and I can take my little portable, notebook computer here, or my little tablet and a phone, and I can do some things down there. Most importantly, I'll take my little notebook and I can sit down and I can start working on planning out the week. My recommendation is to always do that. If you can do a bit of marketing, and again, we'll talk about how you do these in the marketing session, turn everything off. Turn the phone off. Turn the PC off. Turn anything that rings and buzzes or does anything, turn all those things off. Shut the door if you're home and you've got kids at home, or, family at home. Just let everyone know that this, half a day or whatever it is you're doing, okay, I need time, okay, to do this so I can build our future, all right? So just get environment. For me, getting environment right is really important. Number two, and this just comes from, this is a really, really old technique. Now, what I don't recommend you necessarily do is get a tomato-shaped timer, but that's what the Pomodoro technique is. And what the Pomodoro technique is basically, and if you look at, you can click on that link and you can go to the website. But the Pomodoro technique was developed years ago, and it's around setting aside a time frame that if I ever sit and do something, let's say, for example, I have to do some marketing, or I have to set up something, or I'm going to sit down, and I've been talking to a franchisee recently about writing a letter. If I'm going to do those things, what I do is turn everything off, but I don't do it forever. What I do is I set aside a time. In my case, I'll normally set aside 45 to 50 minutes and I put on a timer. Now, again, you might not have a tomato timer, but you can do it on your phone, just use your watch, whatever you need. Turn everything off. And a Pomodoro typically works around 25 minutes. So what it says is, if I need to set aside, say, for example, a task that's going to take 2 hours, then what I can do is I can do that more or less over 4 25-minute slots. Does that make sense? So it doesn't mean I'm going to be doing this for 2 hours. And if you're a bit like me, I get a bit distracted after about 45 minutes. So I set aside 25 minutes and I work on that. When I've finished the 25 minutes, I stop doing it. And if I'm sitting, for example, on my PC keying something in, then I'll go and do something analog. That might be go for a quick walk, grab a coffee, get an apple, just do something, and then come back to it. You'll find that if you use that technique, it'll just make you a lot more effective because you're doing things in short bursts, okay? All right. Last one, it's all about visibility. The yes and no, get it up on your wall. The weekly structure, get it up on your wall. Things you're doing while you're marketing, get all those things up on your wall. If you go to any bigger businesses where they want, what the expression is, if you can measure something, you can manage it. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So what you've got up on the wall are things that help you manage and assess your own time and get better results from your time. So get high visibility about these things. And, because I've got things up on my wall in my office, but I've also got my little notebooks and I refer to those things regularly. My figures, the things I'm doing, I look at them regularly. So have ways of having these things highly visible. And as you know, there's 10,000 apps you can put on your phone these days. Anything to help you to eat better, to manage your time better, to manage your finances better. There's so many little tools out there that can help you do some of these things, okay? So last one is, this is your personal action plan. From what you've seen from this particular workshop, and this, if you've been to the workshop before, this hopefully will be a great refresher, as I said at the start, okay? Your personal action plan, okay? Down the track, we'll cover marketing and customer service, but right about now, write down for yourself, based on what you've seen from this, and again, you can replay this, you can go back to any point you want to and pick up on it. What are the 2, 3, or 4 things that I can do differently? What's the one thing? What's one thing that I could do differently this week and this month that I could get on the phone with my franchisor or one of my co-franchisees and talk about? What's the one thing that's just going to make a difference? Don't try and do 10. Start with 1, but do maybe 2 or 3. If you're going to do 2 or 3, what's the one thing you can do right now that's going to make a difference? It might be looking at a finance package. It might be reaching back to some of your past customers and writing a letter and getting them out to them. It might be, we'll talk about again the marketing side, about ways that you can reach out to some of your A customers and look for referrals. So write that out now. But most importantly, take action. I hope this has been, for franchisees, really useful. As you probably guessed listening to this, that I love doing this stuff, but I love it more if people are reaching out, asking for help, and they're doing something with it. It's, a workshop is valuable, that's one part, but a workshop is of no value if you don't do anything with the information. So if it's been valuable, then what I recommend you do is get real value by taking notes, taking some action, checking with the franchisor, just try something different. So for those that are coming, we'll be in future workshops, we'll look forward to seeing you there. And for those that have been on the future workshops, you said those recorded as well, pick up on the future recordings. And as otherwise, let me know how we can help. Jeff, I said before, Jeff at GEOFF at business, BUSINESS -transform.com.au. Thank you, franchisee gang, and we'll catch you on the next recording.